Good morning, guys. Thought it was time for a little Fleabay edition. A couple of things that interested me here that I haven't seen and I found kind of unique, thought I'd share. And one that just really pisses me off. So I've got a better alternative for you than that. So I'll point that out to you. So anyway, hopefully we've got everything working the way we want it to work. And let's just go through. Let's start on Atlas Mill stuff as usual. There is a horizontal milling machine, Morse taper 2 arbor for 7/8 cutter arbors. Now this is an arbor. Everybody's looking for arbors for their Atlas mills. We've been discussing arbors here for quite a while, and manufacture of arbors and things like that. So thought I'd point this one out. You don't see arbors appear very often, and this actually is from a seller that I just made a purchase from. But I will tell you, I don't think this is a very good idea. Let's see what it says about it. We have, well, please review photos and email any questions. See photos, missing end nut is the only thing, and it's listed as Atlas. Now, I believe this is probably a shop-made arbor. It looks to be very, well, I guess overall length is 12 inches. It looks to be probably shop made, I'm guessing, or somebody else's manufacture. Where the nut would go on is really chewed up. It looks like it takes a nut that is fatter on the inside diameter in the very middle than the end. We'll show this here is that when we look at the picture right in this area, why this is all chewed up. Evidently threads are screwed up some way there. I don't know exactly what's going on there. This would be what supports, or the outboard end that supports the arbor, and that looks very, very long by comparison. This has only got a actual internal arbor dimension or usable dimension of 1, 2, 3. It looks to be about 4 inches, which in reality for most things on the Atlas mill is going to be plenty wide. You don't really need anything, you're not going to be able to accommodate a cutter any more than that. Let's oh, I don't have my print in here maybe I do have my print for that. Let's look and see what Atlas shows. Let's see, they show 7 and 15/30 seconds. They show an overall length of 12 inches, which that actually is what this looks like. But this has been, I know what they've done, they've shortened this up to accommodate. Overall length on this arbor looks to be proper, but what they've done is evidently, I would guess, not all I'm doing is speculating, that it was chewed up out here. See, this bearing surface, this outer surface here should only be an inch and 17/30 seconds. Should be all the longer that this dimension is right in here for this bearing surface. You would have had another 7/8 of an inch of thread. This thread should be 7/8, but it should be clear out here, and then this should be arbor. So apparently what's happened, I would speculate, is they've damaged this area in here, so this has just been turned back, and there's been an attempt to rethread that. And that's pretty well screwed up. I don't know exactly what's going on. And then of course these are spacers. I don't believe this is a factory drawbar anyway, because this is not the driver system that you would normally have. It looks like this has got flats machined on the end here, rather than having the two semicircular cutouts for the arbor driver that goes in there. Let's look at the next picture and see what it shows us. Same thing, except, yeah, where this has been machined down flat. This was not a factory arbor. Spacers, this is either was designed to fit something else, or it's all been shop built. Arbor spacers, different thickness or different outer diameters, that type of thing. Doesn't really matter in that respect, but this is probably something that I would avoid for the $200 starting asking price they're asking for it. Now this may have been a manufactured arbor for something else and it's been modified to fit on an Atlas, or maybe it's just being sold as an Atlas and it was originally designed for something else. But you've got some channel lock marks on here in this area right in here. I'll just flip through here. Yeah, see, this is all chewed up. I don't know exactly what they've done here, but this is This is definitely screwed up here and not for an Atlas, or not a good setup for an Atlas. And there we go. We'll do away with that. Go on. There's, get rid of my book here. See what else we got. And all of this stuff has been put on over the last few days. There's a few new things we'll look at, but there's been some things that have interested me, intrigued me slightly. Here's one of them down here that came on several days ago. Atlas lathe mill attachment. Marvin 4-inch indexing head. Now, I've never seen a Marvin indexing head. I follow the Marvin stuff just a little bit, to the extent of they made the vertical attachment for the Atlas mill, and then they made a slotting attachment for the mill. I have never seen, and I haven't researched them any farther than that up until probably now, but apparently they made a mill attachment, or a indexing head attachment for the mill. So there's nothing in the description that is really telling anything about it, but let's look at the pictures. Like I say, just because I found it interesting. Never seen one, so maybe we're all seeing something we haven't seen. So it looks like an interesting setup. It was made in 2 halves, or caps like a headstock would be, caps on the casting to maintain everything. I have no opinion about it. Like I say, I've never seen one, and I just thought it might be interesting to look at and see. So let's just go through the photos, and it's got the sector arms and at least one index gear, and it's engraved here for angles, and it's probably an okay attachment. Some of the Marvin stuff that I've seen is not necessarily innovative, but it's kind of intriguing for the day. So this one looks to be fairly complete. There's no tailstock, and you don't have a chuck. I would speculate that chuck matches Atlas stuff, so it would probably accept your standard lathe chuck or drill chuck accessories, whatever the case may be. Been well used, but it's neat. It looks like they've got a Jacobs chuck. Now, there again, if this matches the Atlas pattern, which I would assume it does, why, this will be the same threaded chuck that will fit on your Atlas, on your lathe or your mill. So I just found it interesting, kind of unique thing. Here's a picture of the vertical mill attachment. So I'm going to have to go back and see if I can research this stuff a little bit more, just because now it's kind of intriguing. I've seen a couple of different little setups for belt guards, but yeah, see, so this took a standard chuck. You could index it. Interesting. Dividing head. It doesn't have the drawbar or the spacer. So it would have taken probably a 3C or a 3AT collet in the spindle nose. Drive dogs, they made a tailstock for it. But yeah, interesting. Interesting. I just found that kind of unique. Thought I'd share that with you. So there we go there. What else do we got here? I think that was all I saw under milling attachments. Milling machine oil pan, a 7/139.99. I still have not cast any more oil pans. If somebody is in need of an oil pan, let me know, and I'll get around and kind of move that up in the list of things to get done. Well, and on that dividing head, I think they wanted. Yeah, see, it's got one bid at $250, which has been there for a few days. Buy it now, $700, and I'm not sure if that made. Yeah, reserve not met. I would speculate they've put a buy it or a reserve of, it may very well be $700, $500, $600, $700. I would suspect that's at least what they want for it. It is going to be fairly rare. kind of a unique piece of nostalgia. It would be neat to have in a collection, but there again, back to the same prices. Is it worth that $700? I don't really think so. You know, everybody's got to make their own decision there, because, like I say, I've never seen one before. So there's dividing heads. Do we have anything else down here that's intriguing? 7x7 Y Atlas Craftsman Milling Drill Press Cross Slide Table, $400 best offer. Too much money, as far as I'm concerned. And a bunch more other just stuff. Just stuff. Stuff. There's the same heat-treated Atlas drawbar. We talked about it a while back. I won't go into it. I see it's either been relisted or still listed. And I think we probably talked about everything else here. There's a few little pieces of junk that people are asking too much for. So let's move on. Atlas shapers. What do we got here? 7B shaper with vise and table, nice, pre-owned, $700. This has been relisted. This was on here. Some pulleys, some parts, shaft lock assembly for the knee, for the foot underneath the knee. $22 and $5 shipping. Used one. I believe that takes the same locks that I produce. This has got the bolt and the nut. Looks like the nut or the bolt head's chewed up a little bit. A 792A Atlas shaper vise pre-owned, $349 and $25.50 shipping. This has been listed before and didn't sell for the too much money they want for it. I see it's, you know, this is the one that's got the foot milled out, at least one of the cutouts for the, not the foot, but the hold down hole in the base. This has got, I think, two of the cutouts, or two of the bolt hole hold downs have been cut out. This vise is pretty well chewed up here. Let's look at this one. Yeah, see, this is the one they drilled into the vise screw. The vise has been drilled several times, several places. Pretty well used and abused. I've been working on the patterns for this slowly. Not a big pressure item, because these will be produced in cast iron. I won't do these in aluminum, although a lot of times I'm going to aluminum first to either build patterns out of or just to verify dimensions. So original Atlas vices are cool, both for the mill and the lathe. By the same token, in today's marketplace, there are better imported options for vices that actually work better than these do. This was a good functional vise. I've got a couple of them for the shaper, but they are also kind of early technology and a little bit crude in some respects. Otherwise, same old junk we've been looking at before. Shaper tool post lantern with rocker, 7/8 body diameter, $88 and $9.50 shipping. You know, these are things like this are, as far as I'm concerned, good shop projects. You know, these can all be made in the shop. I've made rockers before. I'm going to be case hardening some rockers here before too long. I've been acquiring stuff for that. But these are all good. These are good shop projects here. You know, there again, tool posts and stuff. We'll be building some just to show dimensions and how to build them. So that's all I see under shapers. Now, when we look at lathes, and the lathes are things that, what do we got? New stuff. There's change gears, $25 by the time you get them in the door. Power feed, cross feed, knob gear and shaft. Original Atlas 10 and 12 inch lathe tailstock base. Now that's not true, because it's either going to be for a 10 inch or a 12 inch. That was the difference between the tailstocks, is they thickened up the bases for the 12 inch. So this one shows 10D-6 number. I'm not going to look at it, but that will be for a 10 inch, I'm assuming. $24.95 and $8.95 shipping, or best offer. That's probably not out of line. You know, if you need a good base, that's fine, but there again, why do you really need a base? Now, I would imagine we've got two more listings right below that that show 10 inch tailstock top casting 10D-5, and there's two of these. I imagine they're from the same seller. They're $19.95 or best offer, which I think is probably a fair price. That's about what a bare casting should go for. And these have the tail cap on them. In my experience, the tail caps are left on them because they're in there pretty solidly. They've been Loctited in, something's been done to permanently affix them in there. So my experience is that's why you end up and get these with the tail cap on them, is because the guys can't get them out without doing more damage to them. I'm not going to look at these. These are both going to just be bare castings. I think that's a fair price for them. The thing that you're getting screwed on is $49.95 shipping. Now, I could be mistaken, but I believe those will fit in the medium flat rate box, which is about 18 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. So for 20 bucks, you should be able to get those shipped. So when we've got $49.95 shipping, that's kind of exorbitant, in my opinion. That's my only complaint there. Atlas Craftsman 10 inch lathe, rare turret tailstock with base casting, 10D-603. And I'm not really commenting on the sellers. Most of these sellers have been around. They know what's going on. Atlas Craftsman 10 inch lathe, rare turret tailstock with base, 10D-603, excellent condition. Please check out the pictures as part of the description. Thanks for looking. Now, that's probably true. It looks to be, well, it's not in excellent condition. It's in pretty good condition. It's the upper casting section, and there's looks like, oh, there's a base there too. And the tie down. Now this has been cleaned up, obviously, because your base is not going to be that clean. But anyway, it is relatively rare. The problem is the parts that are just as rare are already gone with it. You know, this has been listed several times. Well, I guess I could go screwing around here. There's what you're getting. This is, they made this both as a single position tailstock turret, or tailstock, and this is the same tailstock that goes on the production tailstock that indexes around to the 6 positions. This is a stop rod that goes out here to set your lengths. Yeah, you don't see very many of them. The problem is you don't have the rest of the parts. You don't have the lever to operate it. You don't have the ram that fits it, or the production, tailstock. So worthless thing, just absolutely worthless to the average guy. This has been listed several times. Nobody's bought it now. I hope nobody does buy it. If you're parting these out, you deserve to be stuck with them, basically, because that's what's happened. Is they parted out the rest of the parts. They sold the turret head off of it at some point in time. There again, excellent condition. The paint's chipped on it and stuff. It's not in excellent condition. It's been cleaned up a little bit. Maybe it's been repainted, maybe not. Doesn't matter. You don't have all of it. There's no sense in having it. So, good usable condition, but you got to have the rest of it. So, for 85 bucks and then 23 bucks shipping. Shipping's reasonable. The rest of it's worth, 40, 50 bucks. So, pass. Now we're running into some chucks here. And I've said before, I'm not a fan of spending big bucks on a lathe chuck. They're going to be well used and abused. The amount of four-jaw you're going to index it, you don't expect it to be, it doesn't matter if it runs true within reason, of course. You're going to fit it to your lathe, and that's okay. Now, here's a new listing for a Atlas Craftsman Union lathe chuck, four-jaw, 4-inch model. This is a 4-inch model. This is for the 6-inch lathe. Well, no, it's not, 1.5 inch, 1/8. Anyway, this is a small chuck, 150 bucks. Yeah, that's probably too much for a 4-inch, but nonetheless. Here's an 8-inch 3-jaw with 2-piece jaws plain back. Pre-owned, $79.99. It's got one bid and $15.95 shipping. If that can be had for a reasonable price, like, under $100, that's probably a reasonable chuck. The reason being, it's got interchangeable jaws, so you've got the ability to build soft jaws for it. And that's the only reason that I would be even remotely interested in it. Scroll chuck. The brand name is gone off of it, so you don't know what you're getting here. I don't know that I'm even gonna show these pictures. The only reason I was going through and looking was I wanted to see the back of it. And this has been well used and abused. Yeah, there's no backing plate, so you're going to have to adapt a backing plate. So you've invested another $50 there. So I don't know. In my opinion, that's too much money. Let's get down here. There's one that I find extremely irritating. Atlas lathe manual, pre-owned, $25 and $8 shipping. I have not checked lately. When I bought mine, which has been several years ago, I bought it directly from Clausing. It seems like it was about $25 for the latest model. So you want to check with Clausing and find out what they're getting for a brand new one. So as far as buying for the year of your lathe and that thing, the information is basically the same, except the newer models are going to be slightly updated as far as lubricants and things like that, probably for what they can do. Otherwise, the information's the same. So let's get down here to the one that just irritates the crap out of me here. And there was a couple of things here. Excellent Atlas Craftsman 10-12-inch lathe, lead screw bearing bracket, aluminum. Pre-owned, $37 or best offer and $6.25 shipping. Now let's look at this and I'll tell you why I find this amusing. You can see this. You see the mill marks over it. This is a hunk of aluminum that somebody's taken some time to mill out. There's a greaser fitting in it. Back's machined down, got a relief cut down so it fits up against the bed the way it's supposed to. End's been counterbored. This is pretty crude by even amateur standards, but probably functional. The thing that I find amusing, so the uninitiated beware here, Atlas Craftsman 10-12-inch lathe, lead screw bearing bracket. Probably shop made. Excellent job. Comes with an oiler. Probably shop made. Yeah, it's definitely shop made. We should already know that. Excellent job. And you just saw the pictures. You make your decisions. So that's just amusing. Okay, this is the one that pisses me off. And this pisses me off bad. And I'm going to take these in reverse order. I'm going to take the one down underneath first. We're looking at a Atlas Craftsman 101 10-12-inch metal lathe, 3-jaw, 6-inch chuck, 101 21680, 1 1/2 thread per inch. This is a seller who's been around, got good feedback, knows what he's doing. In good working condition, but has scratches, signs of use, and surface marks. Please view all the pictures and see what is included in condition of items. Let me know if you're unhappy with a purchase before you leave feedback. Well, if I purchased it, I'd already be unhappy. I'd be flat pissed off. Okay, so let's look at the pictures. Let's look at this chuck. Now, it's not a bad looking chuck, you know. It's got Atlas numbers on the front of it. Got the chuck key. Been cleaned up. You can see that it's been polished down. It was at some point pretty grungy. A little bit of pitting and stuff. Now this stuff doesn't bother me. It's a used 3-jaw chuck, so chances are it's not going to be as concentric as it could be. Okay, you're going to have to pull the back plate, you're going to have to retro it to your machine, and then you're going to have to reassemble it, and you would have a good usable chuck. Now, and the pictures, I'm not really trashing on the pictures at all. You know, it's got the jaws look pretty good. It doesn't look like it's been scarred up or abused. It has been used, and like I said, it's probably not going to run quite as concentric as it could if it were a brand new chuck. So on the back you see quite a bit more staining, and I was trying to read this. I don't know, you can't tell exactly. I don't know exactly what that says, but all in all, not a bad setup. It's not a bad looking chuck. Now, they want $229.99, but they're going to give you free shipping for it. Okay. Okay, I'll leave that at that. Now let's go to the next one, or the previous one. The description says Atlas Craftsman, and they want $49.99 for this. They want a $229 for the chuck. Atlas Craftsman 101 10-inch 12-inch metal lathe, replacement 3 jaws 6-inch chuck 101 21680. These are the external lathe jaws for that chuck. This idiot is selling the external jaws that should go with that chuck, and the serial numbers on the chuck match. This to me is the biggest bunch of bullshit there is. When you got guys scrambling for jaws because they're looking for replacement jaws. And I've seen it quite a bit here recently on the Sheldon list, I think, because they've gotten separated, they've gotten lost. They bought a chuck that didn't have the external jaws, was missing jaws one way or the other. Well, this ass is selling out the external jaws that should go with that chuck. So that to me is crap. Just literally crap, because somebody else may buy these, they may fit their chuck, they may not, and they're sure as hell not going to run the way they should in another chuck where they've got a perfectly good set. There's no reason in the world that these should be separated. So this is one that pisses me off, if you hadn't already noticed. So anyway, there's all we're doing is looking at the pictures here. They're the replacement jaws. They're the external jaws that go with that. So realistically, if you want to buy that chuck and have all the versatility that you can out of it, even though you're buying a wore out chuck probably, and I'm going to say wore out, is probably not as bad as I would state it being wore out, because this chuck looks relatively good. But to separate the jaw sets from them and sell them separately, that means you're into this chuck $280. Now, there is no way in hell I would do that if for no other reason than now I know this seller's willing to do that kind of crap. So I think that's bullshit. So I've also been told quite often that you can't complain about something without having a better solution. So if we go to Shars, they are offering, and it is made in Japan. I've already looked, and it mentions Japan farther down as far as being machined there or whatever. But anyway, Shars, and I just use them as an example. I know nothing specifically about this chuck. If you buy a used chuck, you're going to have to tear it apart. You're going to have to deburr it. You're going to have to re-grease it. I'm going to say you need to do the same thing when you buy one of these chucks. But this is a 6-inch 3-jaw self-centering scroll chuck. Lathe chuck's 2-piece jaws with 2 1/4 8-inch fully machined threaded backplate. So your backplate's ready to go, other than you're probably going to have to skim it to mount the chuck to match it up. In stock, $241.60, and they're going to ship it UPS ground. So you're going to spend another $10 or $15 on shipping and tax if you're paying tax, which you're paying tax on $280 on the other one anyway. $241.60. So you've saved about $40. You've got a brand new chuck that's going to probably run truer, hold tighter tolerances than the used chuck that they're selling on Fleabay, that they're ripping you off on by selling the jaws separately. Now the advantage to this is this has 2-piece jaws. So these jaws, you only get one set of jaws with it, but they're going to reverse, so you've got internal and external jaws. Plus this opens up the capabilities of you to build soft jaws for it. I've got one of my Sheldon chucks, the old beat up Sheldon chuck that came with my second Sheldon lathe. I've already showed going through it and machining it down and converting it to 2-piece jaws, so I can build soft jaws for that chuck. That gives you that same capability on this for less money, and a chuck that's probably machined better in this day and age and is going to hold closer tolerances. So that's my little rant. That's one that you've got a much better chuck for on your lathe than buying that wore out piece of crap that they're ripping you off on. And like the Shars, they've got all the dimensions right here. They show all those pictures and all of that stuff. So and they freely offer that support. So this is, in my opinion, a much better functional item for on your lathe. Yeah, each set of jaws are serialized in their own set. Serialized set of jaws and then finished ground lapped on their designated chuck body, which will be the same chuck body on the final assembly to achieve greater accuracy. Yeah, before assembly the jaw is assembling the jaw to its designated chuck body, the jaws finished machining are performed on a close tolerance state-of-the-art CNC machine from Japan. Well, from Japan. So who knows where they're actually manufactured, but and even if they're Chinese built, which they may very well be, you've got a much better product than if you were buying this piece of crap that a Fleabay seller's screwing you over on. And that's what they're doing, is screwing you over on that one. Anyway, there you go. So hopefully you find this a little bit informative. I just haven't done one of these for a while, and there was a couple of things that did intrigue me, like that Marvin index head. You know, a few things out there. You can find some decent buys. I did just make a Fleabay purchase here over the weekend for a casting that I don't see very often, and we're going to see if we can't develop it into something that may be useful for on our lathes. So anyway, hopefully you find it interesting, useful. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch, guys.